Hey, what's up, you guys? Swan here from Swan Things. And today we'll be talking about the top 6 money habits and financial goals that you should master in your 20s. Now, I won't be going into too much details on the numbers here because everyone's circumstances are different. Instead, I'll be focusing on actionable habits and goals that you should aim to achieve to build a strong financial foundation in your 20s. So, without further ado, smash that like button and let's begin. Alright, so the first money habit that you should pick up is to track your expenses and budget. Now, if you don't do this, it's gonna be super hard for you to set financial goals for yourself or to dig yourself out of any financial trouble because you have no idea what you're spending on and how much money you have left every single month. Now, personally, I use this app called Money Manager. And what's great about it is it's super easy to use and it's highly customizable. Everything that you key into this app will be automatically consolidated into very neat and pretty visuals. And the app will also automatically track your overall net worth over time. Now, this app comes free, which I think is more than enough for everyone, but I did pay $5 just to get the full version because I love the app so much. So definitely check out this app and start tracking every single penny you make and spend. Trust me, it'll be worth the effort and you need these numbers in the next few steps anyway. Alright, so now that you started tracking your expenses, it's time to talk about debt management. Now, obviously, you want to be avoiding debt whenever possible, but here we'll be differentiating between good debt and bad debt. Good debt will have two criteria: a low interest rate, and it helps you finance for things that make you more money. So an example of good debt could be something like a low interest PTPTN loan, which finances your education, which will hopefully land you a higher paying job. Examples of bad debt could be things with high interest rates, or it does not help you finance for things that can make you more money. The number one bad debt to avoid would be credit card debt, which can charge interest as high as 18%. A close second will be for loans for expensive cars, not because of its high interest rate, but because you're borrowing money to buy something that rapidly decreases in value. So definitely avoid those. When it comes to paying off debt, you should be prioritizing putting more money into highest interest rate debts first, followed by the lower ones. However, when we talk about low interest rate debts, there is actually no need to pay it off early because instead of doing that, if you invest the money instead, you actually stand to save more money. Alright, so the third thing you should do in your 20s is to set up an emergency fund. An emergency fund is absolutely essential because anything that can go wrong in life will eventually go wrong, and you need the cash to be able to deal with emergencies that come up. Now, if you ask me whether you should prioritize paying off high interest debt or setting up an emergency fund, I would say you need to do both simultaneously, maybe half and half. So personally, I think that 6 months in expenses is a good place to start for an emergency fund. But of course, it'll depend on your situation because if you have higher commitments like having a family, generally you'll need to save up a bigger emergency fund. Now, when it comes to choosing where to put your emergency fund, you need to take care of three criteria. First, the emergency fund needs to be liquid. Second, it should be protected against any potential losses. And third, it needs to at least be able to keep pace with inflation so that it does not lose any value over time. Now, when we talk about these three things, a lot of people will automatically think about fixed deposits. But honestly, there are so many better options out there like Stashaway Simple or fixed price funds. If you'd like to learn more about these, check out the video in the link above. Next, we're going to be talking about strategies that you could use to increase your savings rate. Because by the time you turn 30, you should aim to have at least 2 years worth of expenses saved and invested, including anything you have in your retirement accounts like your EPF. So to make it easier for yourself to hit this target, what you can do is to automate your savings. So the first thing you can do to do this is to figure out your minimum monthly commitments, things like your rent, utilities, food bills, transportation, and so on. This should form the baseline of your budget, and any money left over from your disposable income can then go into your wants and your savings. So once you have those numbers down, the first thing you need to do is to set up an auto debit from your salary account to any other account on your salary payday. So what this does is every time your salary comes in, you are paying yourself first and hitting that savings target before you spend any money at all. But what if you don't have much money after deducting your needs and wants? Well, obviously, you're gonna have to cut back on your wants first, and here's how I go about it. Every time before I want to buy something, I think about two things. First, I think about how much time do I need to spend working to pay for something. For example, if you're earning 2,500 ringgit a month, you're earning 12.50 an hour. So before you buy that delicious cup of llao, think about it. Is that 14.90 cup of yogurt worth an hour of work? Is that Nintendo Switch worth 112 hours of work? Chances are it's not worth it, but if it is, go ahead and enjoy. The second thing I think about is how much money I'm losing in opportunity costs, because every dollar invested today will actually earn you $5.5 when you retire in 30 years. So sure, I can buy that new iPhone 12 for 4,900 ringgit, or I could invest that money and earn 26,600 ringgit in 30 years. So ask yourself, do you want to look rich or do you want to be rich? And if cutting back on your wants still isn't enough to give you some money left over to save, you need to start re-evaluating your needs. Try to stay with your parents to cut down on rent if they don't mind. Try cooking your own food to save on food bills, or shop around for a cheaper phone plan. However, the reality is there is a lower limit to how much you can cut your expenses in order to save more. At some point, you're going to find that no matter how hard you try, there's just no way for you to cut down on your expenses further. And at this point, there's no beating around the bush. You need to make more money and increase your income. It's not going to be easy, but you can increase your income by taking on more hours of work if your company offers OT, taking on an additional job on top of your day job, or you could ask for a raise at your next performance review or to look for a higher paying job. At the end of the day, how much you earn really depends on you. And if you have a job right now, push yourself to exceed expectations and work for the company like you own the business. Because when you do this, you will have more leverage when it comes to things like asking for a raise or promotion. And even if your company says no to you after that, slap those achievements on a CV and look for a company that will better compensate you for your dedication. So another thing you need to do in your 20s is to build up a good credit score. A credit score is basically like a report card that banks will look at to determine whether they will lend you any money in the future. Now, you need to do this in your 20s because a lot of the financial goals in the future, like getting a home loan, will depend on you having a good credit score. So there are two ways you could do this. First, if you have any loans at all, make sure you pay the monthly installments in full and on time. Now, if you don't have any loans, you should get a credit card. Now, a lot of people think credit cards are bad, but it actually depends on the user. If you treat the credit card just like a debit card and only buy what you can afford, and remember to always pay off the credit card bill in full and on time every single month, not only are you saving more money on cashback and reward points, you are also building up a good credit history and a good credit score, which will put you in a better financial position to secure loans in the future. Last but not least, by the time you turn 30, you should aim to have at least one source of passive income. Now, passive income is any income that you can earn without actually having to work for it. Now, a lot of people will think about buying rental properties, but the problem with that is buying a rental property in this current market condition is super risky. Other than that, you also need a huge upfront capital, and after you buy one, your capital becomes illiquid. So instead of doing this, I think a better alternative to consider is to get into dividend investing. Now, there are lots of stocks on the stock market that pay out regular dividends, but a good beginner stock to look at would be real estate investment trusts or REITs. REITs are stocks and companies that own and rent out commercial properties, and these companies distribute at least 90% of their profits every year to their investors as dividends. For example, you could buy IGB REIT, which owns Mid Valley Mega Mall. This year, they paid out dividends 4 times, each with a yield of 4 to 5%. The stock is trading at 1.73 ringgit right now, so if you buy a minimum, which is one lot, it will cost you 173 ringgit. There are tons of other REIT stocks that give out good steady dividends, and all of them are relatively cheap, costing anywhere from 50 cents to 2 ringgit per share, making them pretty affordable to the beginner investor. When it comes to risks, of course, like any other stock, REITs are subjected to price volatility. However, since they pay out a reliable and consistent dividend, this risk can be somewhat cushioned. Also, when the price does go up, you stand to earn on capital gains on top of your dividend yield. So it's a great place to start investing and get some passive income. Alright, so that's all the financial goals that you need to master in your 20s. Some of these goals will take longer than others, and that is completely okay. Because once you have these things down, you will have a strong financial foundation to grow your wealth exponentially faster in the future. As always, thank you so much for watching. Subscribe to my channel for more personal finance content, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye!